This program was first broadcast on Canterbury's access media station, Plains FM, and was made with the assistance of New Zealand On Air.
It's time for Emergence News on Plains FM 96.9, citizen-made radio.
Tēnā koutou, greetings and welcome to Emergence News, broadcast from Ōtautahi, Christchurch, based on the greenstone isle of Te Waipounamu, or better known as the South Island of New Zealand. We are fast approaching the solstice, which for us here in Aotearoa is our longest day. For any listeners in the Northern Hemisphere, it will soon be your winter solstice, or the shortest day, celebrated as a time when the light begins to return to its full brightness. These opposite experiences reflect the dual nature of life on Earth, the dark and light in opposition and also in balance. How would we know the light if it was not for the darkness revealing the difference? We feel the power of love when we have also experienced the pain of hatred and fear. We appreciate bounty when we have known lack. This world is a great teacher, and we are here to master the lessons it offers us. As we approach the festival of Christmas, the dark and light come into sharp focus. A time for sharing and celebration is for many a time of loneliness and hardship. This year of 2020 has been a challenging year for the whole of humanity. No one has been exempted from the effects of a small virus that has had huge implications and challenges for us all. Death, bereavement, sickness, loss of jobs and security, and loss of freedom. Our world has changed forever, and while the dark might seem to have the upper hand, here on Emergence News, we trust and believe that it is because the light is brighter than ever. It is shining into all the dark and hidden places, revealing the full scale of what we as one human family must deal with. The Christ light is shining brightly. It is being wielded, and we believe, by Maitreya the World Teacher. He who embodies the love of the Christ and is here in a physical body, shining that light of love into all those dark places. This is causing tremendous upheaval and forcing us to pay attention. Daily we are bombarded with information that shocks and confuses. This time of trial for humanity has been carefully planned and prepared for. It is a necessary stage of dissolution of old, outworn forms before we emerge into the bright light of understanding. Working alongside Maitreya are the Masters of Wisdom, so called because they have mastered all the lessons this Earth School offers. They are our elder brothers, here to help and assist us on our journey towards mastery. Some are living here on Earth in human form, and others are helping in the etheric dimensions. Together they are supporting and protecting us. We have never been alone, but we each must make the choice to embrace the light of love and act upon it. During the Christmas festival, we often see the outpouring of love and sharing increasing. May it be so this year as we celebrate the birth of the Christ light, being born on earth and into the hearts of all men and women. So today in the studio, I've got with me Nigel and Peter. Welcome.
Hi there, Shafia.
Kia ora, Shafia.
Good to have us here. And what are you going to talk about today?
Well, I've got a little excerpt here from Howard Carey, who was actually a Methodist minister and for over half a century, actually, and then he came across the ancient wisdom teachings through Benjamin Creme.
Oh, right.
And so he's been able to incorporate these into his ministry and has changed the lives of many people who were in the Orthodox world. So,
that sounds really interesting. Yes, great.
Look forward to that. Hi, Shafia.
Yes.
Hi there, Peter.
Hi.
I'm going to attempt to put a positive spin on 2020.
Yes, good.
And I've been going through our Share International magazines from this year, and I've selected several stories that projects that are relevant to Maitreya's priorities. So we're talking about subjects such as poverty and hunger, adequate housing, health, education, and of course the environment. And of course, when you stop and think about it, a lot of those issues are really relevant to New Zealand currently.
Yes.
We've got a Prime Minister who, one of her major ministerial portfolios is child poverty.
Yes.
We've got the Minister of Housing with 3 associate ministers focusing in on homelessness, whānau ora, building construction, and then the Minister herself, which is a MP here in Christchurch, Megan Woods. So it's really interesting how some of these issues are not just in Central Eastern Africa, they're right here in the West as well.
Yes, and all around the world.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Peter, you're going to talk to us about...
Yes, Howard Carey to start with, yes. The Joy of Christ's Coming is the name of his book, actually. And as I said before, he's a Methodist minister, or was. I think he's dead just now, but he'll be back. And for more than half a century, he was a minister in his church, and for the last 20 or so years, he was building bridges between the standard Christianity and the ageless wisdom teachings. He came across Benjamin Creme, obviously, and his books seem to fit exactly with his feeling of the meaning of Christ. And so in his book, he said it's great to get a lift from the courageous choices of the men of the past, as well as brave souls today. But to bask in their reflected glory is not enough. The challenges must be faced directly today. We will take the way of doubt and fear. Dare we accept the strong assurances which Maitreya gives, and is his basis for thoughts and lives on them. Let us attune ourselves to strong words such as these from Maitreya's message, number 134. And just for our listeners, he gave 140 messages, didn't he, through Benjamin Creme.
Late 70s, early 80s.
Yes, that's right. And
which is over 40 years ago now.
Yes, it is. I mean, his first one, I think, back in 77, I think, wasn't it? And these messages are very strong, and we listen to them every time we have a meditation. Listen to one of them. And so I'll read one out to you. It's obviously not done the way Maitreya does it. He often takes about 9 or 10 minutes to do his messages, and he's very clear on everything he says.
And there's a particular rhythm in the delivery, isn't there?
There's a mantric delivery, isn't it?
There is.
But anyway, I will try and do my best here. He says, "Try to believe, my friend, that I am here. Try to accept that your brother of old is among you, and take up the challenge I give you. Help me to help your brothers to make known my presence. Take the simple step of trust and awaken to your true worth. Many await me in fear, knowing not the cause of their confusion. My friends, where fear stands, trust may not. Why then hold to fear? My presence is apparent to all around you. Awaken to that fact. Open your eyes to the changes in your world, in your heart, in the light of joy, in your child's eye. Know that I am here with you in these ways. My friends, and help save the world. Your cries have been heard. Your longings have reached my heart. Your pain is mine. My treasure shall I bestow on you." And he always finishes with these messages with a blessing. And to me, they really are a blessing. And In our meditation group, I think we often feel these energies, don't we, coming through.
We do,
Yeah.
and you can actually hear the difference in because they're channeled. Well, not they're overshadowed. He overshadows Benjamin Creme.
Yes.
And you can feel the difference, the resonance in Benjamin
voice.
Creme's voice,
Yes,
can't you? As he's
yes.
actually saying it, so it does feel there's a difference. And I know that people who've actually witnessed Benjamin Creme giving these messages have sometimes seen, his face change and
Right.
this sort of Asian persona come and and they describe his almond eyes and
Is that right? Yeah.
yes,
That's
and
fantastic, isn't
it
it?
is, yes, and seeing this golden light all around Benjamin Creme as he is being overshadowed by Maitreya.
Yes, okay. I came across something else that from questions and answers in the Share International magazine, and someone was asking about love, and he said, yes, there is more than just the love of a mother for a child. Even romantic love is an aspect of love. But love is really a tremendous energy. We call it the Christ principle, the Christ consciousness. It is the energy of consciousness. It is the energy which ties together the building blocks of matter, which keeps the planet in a cohesive state of reality. We say love makes the world go round. Well, it literally makes the world go round, because the world wouldn't exist without the cohesive magnetic force which holds all the atoms of life together. It's amazing if you think about that.
Yes.
The nature of our solar system is love. We are a second ray solar system, and the nature of the second ray is love. So as far as the solar system is concerned, God is love. This is something which Jesus demonstrated in a man for the first time. God, the divinity, as God in its perfection, in a man for the first time. The Buddha, through his disciple, Gautama, demonstrated the wisdom aspect of that same love energy in its perfection in a man for the first time. Maitreya brings in another aspect of God, which is yet to demonstrate perfectly in a man. I don't want to give away any of his secrets, Benjamin Creme says, but he will bring a revelation of a new aspect of God, which we as yet are unaware of, and demonstrate it in this coming age. This is the revelation which he brings. It is a new aspect of divinity, as yet not seen, except in a fragmented form in the world. I think that's amazing, isn't it?
It's very beautiful, actually.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I suspect it's possibly to do with the will aspect. But, that's only my guess and my take on it. This is the Emergence News on Plains FM. For more information, go to shareinternational.org.
Thanks for that, Peter. Now, it's my job today, or as John would say, I have been tasked with the job today, to look back on the year 2020, the year humanity has taken another step towards self and collective responsibility. And I really do believe we have, actually, this year. I think that one of the consequences of the virus has been during lockdowns that countries, nations, communities have had to alter and change and modify our behaviour. And we've seen that with lower levels of pollution as one example. The year a virus has forced us to stop and reflect and come together and stand for democracy, equality, and a greater sense of justice for all. The virus has demonstrated how we can stop polluting our planet. This also gave us the chance to stop and consider this. Ask ourselves, what are the consequences of pollution? For example, we take nuclear pollution very seriously, don't we?
Well, we
And
do.
most of the governments do.
Well, yes, I wonder sometimes, but a lot of people are not even aware of it.
Or of the hidden dangers
Yes,
of
that's
nuclear
right.
pollution, yes. But why do we not recognise the dangers of polluting our water systems and our air quality? There's some people in New Zealand here and in Canterbury here who are outraged at the pollution of our water systems.
Yes.
But the response from Environment Canterbury, the local councils, central government, it's
Lukewarm.
that's right. Economic profit is no longer an acceptable excuse. One day soon, our scientists will tell us that pollution is our number one risk to our health, and has been, in fact, since the Industrial Revolution. It is taking us a long time to recognise the need to change our mode of business practice, especially arable and pastoral farming, fishing, manufacturing, even the delivery of goods and services, transportation and tourism. All of our business practices need revision. For example, if you follow David Attenborough, even at 92, I think he's 92 or 93 years old, you will understand his message currently on Netflix. He says, we have to change how we live and work on a day-to-day basis. We must change. And he says now, emphatically. Mm-hmm. Over the past 2 years, our Share International magazine has printed and published stories on many strategies that are consistent with Maitreya's priorities, such as suitable housing, adequate education and healthcare for all, eradicating poverty and hunger, and of course this issue, which has gathered momentum tremendously over the last 5-10 years, how to implement effective policy to address pollution and damage to our environment. So today I'm going to look at some stories, and I've got 3 here from Share International, published this year, that are capturing the minds of those who are looking for fast climate change and also change moving us towards establishing better systems that are aligned with Maitreya's priorities. First story here, what would it really take to plant 1 trillion trees? And this was written by Tim Christopherson, and he is one of the important people at the UN Environment Programme. He is the head of Freshwater, Land and Climate. And he writes that the Ethiopian government, late 2019, announced a new world record. Thousands of volunteers planting 353 million trees in a single day.
Good Lord.
That's quite incredible, isn't it? 353
Unbelievable.
million trees in a single day. And this came shortly after a team of scientists identified suitable places in the world where up to 1 trillion trees could be planted. He writes that planning and strategy are vitally important when restoring landscapes. Examples include the Tanzanian Shinyanga landscape and the Los Plateau in China. But he says the most important ingredient is political will. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, political will is now, as you said, it's at least lukewarm. The wheels are slowly starting to turn.
But also, I don't know, this sort of recently we've had Ngaitahu, which is the iwi or the tribe of the South Island, actually taking the government to court because they are not looking after the waterways.
Good.
And so, the governments are sort of have their hands tied with certain interests, don't they? And and so they need that outside pressure as well. You know?
Well, that's exactly what I was about to say, Shafir.
Yes.
That there are growing protests and more climate change protests all the time, ever since the Paris summit, really.
Yes.
And very interesting to hear that the new president-elect, Joe Biden, is committing himself to re-signing America to the Paris Agreement.
Yes.
Very encouraging news. Let's hope it comes to fruition. Mm-hmm. The estimated 1 billion smallholder farmers in the world are a key, and we need to empower them, i.e. access to tools, access to finance, and improving agroforestry and availability of high-quality seedlings for planting trees on farms. So that was a really interesting story that was published earlier in January, I think January-February issue, that there is at least... have you heard about the Great Tree or the Great Green Wall of Africa, that they're starting to plant trees from the west coast through the Sahara right across to the east coast near north of Ethiopia.
Wow.
To Cape Horn there. Mm-hmm. You can go online and it's a tremendous project. Let's hope, but it's going to take years.
Yes.
Yeah. Turning desert into workable soil right across the northern central area in Africa. Interesting story, that one. Food in exchange for plastic waste. This is one of my favourite stories of the year, actually. It was published, compliments of the Guardian newspaper, and this was published in Share International in February 2020. A new trend in India. Food in exchange for plastic waste. Best known so far as the Garbage Cafe, and this is in a city, and forgive me if I don't pronounce this correctly, in an Indian city called Ambikapur. It's a central northeast Indian city. The purpose of this cafe is to collect and dispose of plastic waste, and they will give you a meal to anybody who does so. So this effectively works out at 1 kilo of waste will earn you a hot meal.
Great.
The city's mayor says the location of the cafe is important, and they've positioned it next to a major bus stand in the city. The plastic waste is collected and is being used to build roading. And there's a professor of chemistry over there called Dr. Vasudevan, and he realised that Indian people would suffer drastically if plastic was banned completely. So he looked at a way to reuse plastic. The result is a technique for making roads that uses plastic waste in combination with bitumen and asphalt. So far, the surface produced prevents potholes from water seeping in. Since the 2006 patent, almost 10,000 kilometres of Indian roads have been paved using this technique.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Dr. Vasudevan says it's time we stop seeing plastic as the enemy and turn it into our biggest resource. And just as a footnote, last year this city was ranked the second cleanest city in India and boasts 100% door-to-door waste collection. So there's a beautiful example, a really practical, pragmatic example of creating green jobs.
Yes, and I think they've also used plastic waste to make bricks for building as well. I saw an article.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay, and the third story here is titled, and it's quite a good title, you'll like this one, Shafia, From Emergency to Emergence.
Yes.
It's rather good, isn't it? By David Corton, co-founder of Yes Magazine. And again, if you go online, Yes Magazine, very interesting magazine, Peter, you'd find it very interesting. And Share International published one of their stories earlier this year, and it reads as such: this is an interesting story in response to the COVID pandemic, articulating that humanity does not want to simply return to business as normal. In the United States, for example, we see a need for, one, health care for everyone, regardless of income or documentation. Bernie Sanders has been promoting that, hasn't he?
And the squad.
2, just compensation and job security for those who do our most essential but least rewarded work. And 3, a guarantee that if your job evaporates, you won't starve. On a deeper level, we are learning that our health depends on the health of our planet. To avoid climate catastrophe, we must use this opportunity to create an economy. We need to create an economy that, 1, meets our basic needs. 2, we need to create an economy that prepares us to respond better to future emergencies. Napier's going through this process right now. And if you're listening overseas, Napier is a city in our North Island that just got severely flooded. What was it, last week?
Yes. Yeah.
How are we going to do this? By shifting power from profit maximising corporations to self-reliant communities. We need to limit human use of resources among these communities. We need growing recognition of social benefits of shopping at locally owned stores operated by our neighbours, who incidentally do pay local taxes. We need to promote employees to work from home, online, remotely. This reduces long travel, reduces car and plane travel, and pollution. Jobs post-COVID-19, such as converting wind and solar energy, growing nutritious food locally, thus looking after the soil, and eliminating waste by recycling everything. And that Indian story was an example of that. We need to also provide everybody access to the internet and caring for and educating our children. This current emergency provides the possibility for a new emergence, the birthing of a truly civil civilization dedicated not just to you, not just to I, but to all people and the living earth.
And of course, that is just love in action, as Peter was saying, isn't it? It's sort of the love that holds us all together. And
yes, and when you were talking about Maitreya, the Lord of Love, he's known as the Lord of Love because he is exemplifying the second ray of love, isn't he?
That's right, God's love, God's will of love, wisdom.
And all these initiatives are based on love and connection and, working for each other. So you really can feel his energy in the planet.
It's the attitude. The human attitude needs to become more collective rather than individual. And that's exactly what's happening, moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, isn't it?
That's right, exactly.
That we're working collectively. We're thinking more as a group rather than as an individual.
Yes, the energies are seventh ray and to be used by groups. That's how the correct use of the energy is.
So to all our listeners, we, the Emergence News team, wish you a blessed and peaceful Christmas. May we all know and welcome the joy of Christ's coming as we celebrate this festive season. Share the love, go well, and be happy.
Namaste.
All this information can be found on the Share International website, www.share-international.org. Scorpio Books in Christchurch carries the magazine and some books. And also don't forget the podcasts, which are available on the Plains FM website.
We welcome your comments, questions and feedback. Please contact us at emergencenews@gmail.com.
The opportunity to join our transmission is available Monday and Wednesday evenings and Thursday mornings, which gives us the possibility to do a service meditation in conjunction with Masters.